John, thank you so much. And a big thanks to John Holm, especially for really having envisioned this whole gathering, for thinking about how important it is to bring people together in I think, an appreciably different way. And as I was talking to my co-panelists here earlier today and over email over the past few weeks, one of the things that's really important to us at Pyxera Global, so our mission is solving the world's most pressing challenges one community at a time. And we define community very broadly. It can be a rural community in Rajasthan, India. It could be the community of Belarusian entrepreneurs working on innovation technologies. It could be a community of our corporate partners. But we understand that there's no way that we are going to solve the most pressing challenges of the world unless we bring together people from all kinds of different corners with all kinds of different experiences. And I don't know about the rest of you, but one thing I do know is that when I attend these kind of events like Climate Week or COP or the World Economic Forum, a lot of times it's sort of a platform for glorification, which is great. It's important to celebrate the good things we're doing. But what we really want to be able to do here at Pyxera Global, and why we have so specifically selected the groups of panelists that we have for this evening, is to ask some of the harder questions and to inspire you all to ask hard questions of yourself about your own journeys, the journeys of your organizations, and how you can push yourself and your organizations to do more. So with that, I'm really thrilled to have these four representatives of the private sector on stage with me, handpicked by John and myself because they are people who have across their careers or in their current position push the envelope. And what we're hoping to hear from them is a little bit about how they got to where they are today, why they've made some of the decisions they've made, and what they're really proud about their work that we can all learn from. So without further ado, I'm actually going to ask each one of you, we're a little behind time, so I'm going to ask you each to introduce yourselves, and we'll go down the line here and tell us a little bit about your journey to actually being involved in climate issues and how you came to this space and how you use your day-to-day work to be able to address climate. And Mona Dajani, may I start with you, please?
Sure. Thank you so much, Deirdre. That was a really great introduction, and I'm really, really pleased to be here today. It's an honor. Very grateful. I'm here in New York. I'm based here in New York. I am a lawyer, and I specialize in clean energy and sustainability for over 25 years. And my journey was I started this practice over 25 years ago when it was fringe. No one even and no one even really knew what it was, but I was really passionate about making a difference and saving our planet and leaving it in a better place for our children and our grandchildren, and really raising awareness about climate change. So today, I am the global head of energy for a very large law firm, that's based in Houston. And their claim to fame was representing oil and gas companies. And I think it's interesting how now someone who's in clean energy is running the firm. So I know we don't have that much time, so I'm going to pass it to you.
And we'll come back to the law shortly. Meaghan.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Meaghan Krohn. I am a Dell Technologies lead climate strategist, so I sit within Dell Technologies corporate sustainability and ESG function. I came to climate and sustainability because I took an elective class in college that would allow me to sleep in, and I got long weekends, and it looked easy. And I started paying attention one day, and I thought, this actually sounds really interesting. And my professor said that climate change is the only problem in the world that will impact every single organism on this planet. some in small ways, some in big ways, but every single organism on this planet will be impacted by climate change. And that was my light bulb aha moment. This is my problem. This is what I'm going to work on. I'm probably not going to solve it myself, but I can work on it and dedicate my energies there. And I've spent my career in climate change, in corporate climate action. I worked at a nonprofit called CDP, and if you know it, I'm sorry, and you're welcome. They do great work. And I have transitioned and moved more closer and closer to, I think, the front line of innovation and technology. And at Dell, I own our net zero goal. How do we get to net zero by 2050? What are the levers available to us to pull? How, when, where do we pull them in a way that makes sense for the company, but allows us to make progress on our mission, which is to drive human progress? And how do we use Dell technology to do that? Yeah, that's me.
Evening, everyone. CD Glin. I'm with PepsiCo. I lead the PepsiCo Foundation, and I'm the global head of social impact. And what brings me to this work, to sustainability? I come at this work through a people lens, a people lens, a service lens, a lens to create more opportunities for people, and then a lens of trying to have as much impact on people as possible. So that's led me over the past 25 plus years to serve as a Peace Corps volunteer, to work for the Rockefeller Foundation, to be in the U.S. government, work for great, fantastic organizations such as Pyxera Global, and now to lead the social impact for the U.S.'s largest food and beverage company and one of the largest food and beverage companies in the world. Most of you think Pepsi and you think Cola, maybe you think Mountain Dew, maybe you think Gatorade, but you don't necessarily think about oats, about corn, or about potatoes. And the reason why you should think about oats and corn and potatoes is because we own Quaker Oats. We are one of the world's largest buyers of potatoes, with Lay's potato chips and Ruffles, and then corn. Corn equals lots of toes in my world. Why do I say that? Because you got Doritos, Cheetos, Fritos, lots of corn-based snacks. But the reality is that service ethos that I have of giving of myself to be a part of the change, of trying to create an opportunity, and that's where I entered philanthropy. But when I really enter the stage of life of trying to have the biggest impact as possible through myself and through organizations, I think John mentioned it, the private sector was really critical to that. I spent my whole career in audiences like that, trying to make sure that corporations were on stages like this, and we talk about what they're doing for people, what they're doing for planet. And now I get to, and I say get to intentionally, not have to. I don't wake up and think what I have to do. I wake up and think, what do I get to do today? I get to speak on behalf of a big company that's trying to have a big impact in the world and be a key contributor to the betterment of people and communities. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. This is what I've done, whether for the government or for a foundation like the Rockefeller Foundation, or for an organization such as Pyxera Global, now doing it for PepsiCo. So it's really what I call a lot of pressure, because it's a big company and it's a lot of negative externalities and a lot of positive change that we're bringing, but so there's a lot of pressure, but it's a privilege because, I get to be in the room to actually be speaking truth to power about how we can do more than make great products in the world, how can we have a positive impact on people and the planet, and to be able to be in those rooms, it is a position of privilege, and philanthropy is privilege. And so that's what I bring to this, is the service mentality, the creating opportunities mentality, but also the impact. And so that's why I think I'm commending John for the vision, Deirdre for the leadership of really putting the private sector on the spot to talk about what we're doing and celebrate success, but also to share a little bit about the journeys that we all take. And it is a space where we bring ourselves to the work, unlike any other time in history. Corporations are made up of people. And so now is the time when we can actually move corporations, because they have people like us in those rooms. And so that's a little bit of my story, but look forward to sharing.
Thank you. My name is Fred Tsao. I'm a fourth generation steward of a family business that's over 120 years. So I began my journey by practicing Qigong and got into a meditation state and started my journey inside. I discovered what psychologists would say, there's no reality outside your mind. You project your reality, and so forth. And I realized that, how we see the world inform how we think, feel, and choose. And since a family business, I focus always in sustainability, value, and legacy. So it's always in my mind. So I started a research institute in 1995 called East-West Center for Cultural Research and Development, studying sustainability, studying concept of modernity, and so forth. But execution in management is not so simple because people do not want to change until they have to change. But the real thing for me actually is COVID, because during COVID, I pieced all of them together into a strategy. How do we have a millennium goal of 2000, a holistic approach? How do we have ESG and impact in the movement? How do we have collaboration to solve the 17 goals? And what kind of matrix we need to do for management to deliver the well-being and happiness economy, G&H drive GDP. So, plenty of time, lockdown, figured it out. So when open, I do a systemic intervention of it, which including climate and nature solution. And I know that business have to make one decision, and is to take responsibility. I was just in UN lunch, and they were talking a little exercise. What's one thing business leader can do to have most impact? I said, made up your mind to take responsibilities. Because a lot of times, we do, people saying, oh, we have a board meeting with ESG. I said, no, that is not taking responsibility. That's reacting to external pressure. Taking responsibility is realizing that, number one, we are the cause of this problem because business created this market economy, which I call marketing economy. And therefore, we created, and I know best because I'm the baby boomer who participate deeply in the process. And we know how to get in. We actually know how to get out. And business, they create business models. And if you're a certain business in your sector, like I'm in plantation, I'm in maritime, I can find better land-based, ocean-based solution for nature-based solution. Because you're in the business, It's very difficult for civil society to figure this out. But it's not so difficult if you're already in the business, you know all the elements, you know what needs to be done. You just have to make up your mind to do it and create a new business model, a better business model, a win-for-all business model. So I think business must take full responsibility and do engagement for partnership of both public and the philanthropic and even population people, which is the market. We know best. We can do it. We just have to make up our mind to take leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fred, for mentioning the business got us into this. And I think there's a lot of us in this room that absolutely agree with that. All the signs are there. All of the evidence is there. We have 4 very different sectors represented here. We have shipping and also family business, right? Very sort of distinct there. We have food and beverage. We have tech. We have law and energy also in the same packet. Let's talk a little bit about how your own companies are helping us to get out of this. what are some things you're particularly proud of? Anyone can jump in here, of the work you're doing that is helping us to get out of this. Don't make-
All right, I'll start. So
A little closer with the mic,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
no,
Like an ice cream.
like an ice cream. Got it.
Food and beverage.
Food and beverage, yes. We don't make ice cream. Yeah. So I'd say it like this. What are we doing? I'd say everything, to be honest. So I joined the company 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And in 2021, we launched something called PepsiCo Positive. And this is a strategic end-to-end transformation of the company where we're putting sustainability and human capital at the center of how we're going to create growth in the company and create value for the company by operating within planetary boundaries. And this is really to inspire change for people and planet. This isn't a mantra. I mean, this is a mantra. This is a mission. This is everything. And this isn't on the sustainability team. This is the CEO talking to people who drive trucks full of beverages or full of chips to a store and put them on shelves. And this is people in the C-suite. Everyone across the entire company knows that PepsiCo's on a journey to be a positive force for good for people and planet. And we do that. We're doing that inside the company, not in the nice to have things that like I do. Like I lead a lot of philanthropic efforts, and that's the do-gooder aspect of most companies, or the philanthropic or the charitable giving, but the business itself. And so we talk about being positive in our agriculture, because at the end of the day, everything that we do is rooted in natural resources. The ground that's growing, we source 35 crops from 60 countries across 7 million acres of land around the world. And those crops are in danger because of climate change. The water that makes the great beverages that we produce is in quote unquote danger. And so also the people that we need to actually source, to make, to move products are also the inequalities there running rampant. And so this wasn't an initiative on the side. It was the transformation of the entire company to really be PepsiCo positive in how we source in terms of our agriculture, positive in how we make products, and that making is not only the manufacturing process, but we all know from moving from linear to circular. So thinking about no longer take, make, and waste, and we were, and a lot of companies we're part of the quote unquote problem, but we also could be part of the solution. And so we want to be a positive contributor to what's going forward. And so that's, being that one positive, that's thinking about plastic, thinking about waste, and great programs throughout the world, some of Pyxera in India, programs in Brazil, thinking about not only about the waste collection, but who's actually collecting the waste. And so yes, the system and the infrastructure that's needed, but the people aspect. And so the same thing around the choices that we make. So we can think about, we have the ability to make products, to move those products into market and sell them. But the reality is we want to inspire positive choices even in the products that we create. So you'll see less sugar, less sodium, less fat in those products. And that's about sustainability of humankind, literally. As we think about non-communicable diseases and things of that nature, and think about the food that we eat and the food that we put into our body. And so positive in our agriculture, positive in our value chains, and positive in the choices that we put out. And again, this isn't something that is on the side as a nice to have initiative. This is inside the entire company. So we're making transformational change all along our end-to-end transition. And so I'm really proud that PepsiCo, and that's also why I made the choice to take my 25 plus years of social impact, of being on the ground, of being quote unquote change maker and leading organizations from the bottom up, coming to a company and sort of saying, is this actually a company that actually is trying to be a part of the journey of the future? And in a company like ours, these aren't nice to have initiatives. This is the future of the business. We don't survive if smallholder farmers don't survive. We don't survive if there's enough water, not to make great Gatorade product, but water for people to have for water, health, and sanitation. We don't survive as a company unless we're thinking about a just transition, as we're transitioning our entire fleet into EVs and electronic vehicles, but we have to bring people along in those transitions. So it's very much rooted into who we are as a company now, to think about these issues not as separate, nice to have, do no harm endeavors, but how do we do the most good for the most people? And as we do business, as we make products, as we move products, as we sell and market those products, how are we thinking about the people all along those value chains and the people inside of the company? And the last thing I'll say is that's also a really important piece for a big company, whether it's a Dell or whether it's a PepsiCo. We have 300,000 plus employees. Those are 300,000 inside the company. These are advocates and people who are pushing us to do more. Why? Because they live and work in those communities. That's where they call home. And so they're now the biggest asset that we have, but they're also the biggest constituency that we have to serve, because they're saying, can we do more? Can we do more than make a better burrito, better Cheeto, and tastier drink? Can we do more than that? Let's do that. That's how we're making money. But as we do make more money, how do we do more? So it's really been important to see inside a company literally turn itself upside down to be more responsible and say, our mission is to be a positive agent of change in the communities where we live, work, and serve, and then put programs around that. And as we fall short, we then rebound and do it again and keep pushing. But it's a journey where we really are trying to bring about real change inside the company to then be a positive contributor to the communities that we serve. Because ultimately, if our communities are thriving, and this is where there's a duality, we can't survive and thrive as a business if the communities where we live and work are not thriving communities. And so that is at the top of the company, and is where we're leading from the ground up and top down.
A couple things, CD, I just want to accentuate of what you just said. So thank you for all of that. One is do no harm is not enough, right? We've got to be at the point where we're talking about net positive, and this is something John says all the time, right? Do no harm is not good enough. It has to be about net positive. The second thing you said that really struck me, and I feel like we don't talk about this enough, is the return on investment. Everyone's still talking about the return on investment of doing the right thing. The return on investment is we're still here to do it. We still have a planet to have a company on. And it just, a lot of the talk this week is going to be around the return on investment of certain things that companies can do. And I'm just so glad to hear you say that the return on investment is actually our survival. And let's put that in the forefront. And the other thing that just really struck me is you're talking about this journey over the last few years since you came on board of how the company actually had to turn itself over, right? That's what this takes. It's not business as usual. It's not little tweaks here and there. If we are going to make this just an equitable transition and have a planet on which to survive, we're all going to have to turn ourselves over, and we've just got to accept that end to end. So with that, thank you so much for that. Mona, you grabbed the mic. Would you like to talk a little? I mean, you've been in this. So you were in renewable energy before renewable energy was cool. But so where's the revolution? Where's the revolution now for you and for your work? And how are we turning that from end to end over?
Well, one of the really exciting what we do is we inspire companies like PepsiCo and others with how not only are you doing good, not only are you saving the planet, but there's so many ways to actually make money and to monetize all the different incentives out there available. And so what part of what I do as a transactional lawyer is we inspire companies to think about, did you know that you can make money off your garbage? Did you know that you can turn your waste or food product into energy, and you're renewing that, and then you can, what does that mean?
No, that's just for me. That's okay.
All right.
That's just
that you can make money. And what happened with the IRA, that the Biden administration passed, was just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more, and there have been more. And we help people and companies see how this return on investment it leads to other benefits too, besides just making money. you know, if you invest in certain products and you're able to save the world, you also have a higher investment grade, and you're more likely to have lower costs for certain investors that want to invest in you because they have their own institutional policies and guidelines. So I just want people to know that too.
Fantastic. So lots of tools and tricks out there that we need to be picking up on. Meaghan, you know, you and I had a really interesting conversation the other day about things we're not even imagining about how technology can help us to address the challenges of the climate. And I am not a technology person at all, as anyone who knows me in this room would agree to. But I was just fascinated by some of the things that Dell is doing that, as far as I know, are sort of completely under the radar. Can you share some of the ways that you're using technology
Sure.
and AI in specific to address the challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. So my role, I mentioned net zero by 2050. So much of the technology that is going to be required for us to get there, and for every other company who has a net zero goal to get there, likely hasn't been invented yet, or if it has, it's not available at scale or in a cost-effective way. The return on investment right now is not there. And so we are working, and not by ourselves, we can't do this alone, to find what are those opportunities, where are those innovative practices and technologies that we can work on and scale up. AI is a revolutionary technology. There are challenges and opportunities, just like with everything with AI, but we are scaling what we can, solutions at scale. An example, the city of Amarillo in Texas is using generative AI to help its constituents interact with city services in a more efficient way in multiple languages to provide the services that its constituents need in a more efficient and fast-paced way. You can do it online on their website. We are working with the, I'm going to forget the name, Friends of the Great Barrier Reef, Citizens of the Great Barrier Reef, to use Dell technology and AI and machine learning to map the Great Barrier Reef to protect the critical resource that it is, so that conservation scientists can better protect it and to understand the different pressures that the Great Barrier Reef is feeling. These kinds of partnerships are absolutely essential for the entire world to be able to really meet the challenge. Dell is wonderful. Dell is special. We are not unique. We cannot do this alone. We occupy a particular and very important space in the technology supply chain in the world, but we have partnerships and we are members of really valuable convening bodies that bring, that bring different actors together. You mentioned Davos. We're a member of the World Economic Forum. That's a really important body. Renewable energy, we're a member of the RE100 and other groups that help convene corporate demand for clean energy. That's really, really important. And leaning on those partnerships is a key part of our climate strategy. It's one of the pillars, how we work to decarbonize society. And we do that primarily through partnerships and understanding where it makes sense for us to engage outside of our four walls.
Great, thank you so much. I'd like to take us a little bit of a different direction because we talked a lot about big business here, or support to big business. Fred, we had such an interesting conversation last night about family business and about small and medium enterprise, and the fact that small and medium enterprise actually is such an extraordinary power base if we can bring that power all together. Do you want to talk a little bit from the perspective of family business, of how you attack this challenge? What are the resources you can bring to the table, and how you see family business or small and medium enterprise more broadly being able to move the needle on climate change?
Okay, first of all, 20 years ago, we're in industrial supply chain, from mining to oil production to building oil rigs. We have a full range of maritime ports, ships, shipyards. Then we start changing right around that time. from my research of the sustainability. The first we did was to form Octave Institute, which focused on individual and collective transformation and develop a program there. Now, this is all related because it's systemic. Today, we're organized in industrial group, which is doing mitigation and adaptive. And then we have holding company do impact investment. And as it ready, from mitigation, we do adaptive into a circular economy or a different kind of energy transition. So from investment into execution, building factories and doing what we couldn't doing. So that's industrial group strategy. Meantime, we have a division on well-being to create business model for well-being economy. And then we have this whole theory of change, which is a new book I just finished, will come out end of this year, on impact investing, a holistic approach to flourishing life. So it's a theory of change plus a strategy of execution of the theory of change, grounding. So now back to that question. It's very important, systemic, right? So family business actually controls some of the biggest business in the world too. Probably 1/3 of the SP 500 is family controlled business. Or it goes to a mom and pop shop in the bottom. But family business is 70% of the GDP. That's very big. So now we look at integration of business into impact. So it's all about integration because holistic is about integration. And partnership is about integration. So the theory is, first of all, we're to create platforms. So recently we created a platform. One is called One Earth Alliance, and that's for people with resources looking for impact investment, looking for impact philanthropy, and so forth, with resource control. Then we form an association of well-being economy, which will be launched in November. It's already formed. And they are mostly for small, medium-sized company. And the thing is, the social transformation is really make up the economy, that impact. We want to have climate change, which is a holistic, affects everything, that will bring about a matrix which is dynamically AI enhanced, tailored for each of these organizations, institutions. And we have a collaboration with National University of Singapore, which is the #1 business school in Asia, with their ESG governance center to form bigger, which is well-being economy, governance, academy, which is both research and training. That is very important. We cannot manage what we cannot measure well, and this matrix luckily would have AI, so therefore it would be reiterative and customized and dynamic. Without AI, I don't think we can do that. So then you have big business, which linked up. Well, actually this morning I just signed up a collaboration with WEF on doing this particular thing of bringing WEF out to do impact, to build impact, and to work with really localized 70% of the economy, which is small, medium size. Now, you think about the small, medium size are now having, oh my God, what's going on? They need to transform. And by nature, family business understand love is the answer. They understand. And they care, because love is the result of caring. Otherwise, very messy. Family, very messy. Love, hate, right? Always love, hate. But if you don't care, then you die. So when you now have the impact group can join the association, help them transform, and make investment of impact. Now, even before this is formed, I was organizing, I already make one investment for a startup and help them transform. Now I'm making the second one, which is in food system growing in the desert, which also prevents the speed of the desert and enhance the desert returns, really good social and a good product. So this is just proof. You want to have impact? They are your market. That is your investment because they are directly impacting. You are creating a well-being economy. You can't do it because big business, there are structural and contractual issues, right? The social contract in big company and the structure, they can't do what the small company does. So you invest in them, have a good return, and they do the impact for you. So the whole thing is a systemic thing. This is a very difficult thing. So among all we have food system, we have decarbonization, healthcare, but social impact, my impact investment team does not do so well because they're investors. They're not entrepreneurs. That I lead myself. And then, of course, nature-based solution, which I have very good confidence because we're in palm oil plantation and they need a solution back into South Asia. The ocean, well, generation, we understand. So that's not too concerned. But partnership is needed. Like research, we just signed up with Dalio Foundation because they have an ocean explorer. Otherwise, researcher is in the lab. This one, you can actually go down and see it. It's very different. And then we can work on training ocean scientists on their part and ocean engineer on our part for restoration projects. So collaboration and integration is the key to holism and systemic intervention. And we just signed up with UN Compact to build a new education system, a new university with a university town. Now that would be a 6 years contract.
Great.
Only the Chinese can build that fast. Thank you.
Fair enough. So, thank you for all of those observations. And there's one thing I really want to pull out from what you just said, which was this word care, because it actually came through everything everyone else said in one way or another. And I am going to open it up to the audience for a question or two in a moment. But before I do, I want to pull at that thread of care for a minute and ask whether it's for your own business or your own life or your industry or business more broadly. What stands in the way of care being at the heart of what you're doing? So, you each talked about your initiatives that very much are sort of care centered, but why are we not seeing this more? Why is this not driving massive change? Why are the kind of initiatives you all have underway, why are they not being done 1,000 and 1,000,000 times over? What's holding us back?
Because we lost connection. Our nature is love and care, but we're all distracted by this very distracting, greedy, and colorful, and disastrous quality outside, and we don't go inside. We don't know our nature. We don't know who we are. Answer that existential question, who am I? Where do I come from? Where would I go? What am I here to do? That is a question every human will ask themselves, but sometimes they park it away. Answer that question, and you will care. Thank you.
Anyone else have an answer you want to add to that, CD?
He said the word that I think is part of the solution. It really is that connected. So empathy plus action equals caring. Companies empathize. They understand that things aren't great, but they're making a profit. And all of us grew up in a space where this separateness, where what I call islands of excellence existed. And we tell ourselves, you make money over here, you do good over here, and you do well over here. And so we kept these binary situations. And we actually promoted the lack of connectivity. And so our caring was done through one hand and our business operations through another. And I think now we're in a world where the intersectionality, and I'll use that word intentionally, is where all of this is coming together. And like I said, from our standpoint, as a company, in order to survive and thrive, we actually need to care about the people who are producing the crops that we have to source to then make into great products. I'm not gonna say that wasn't always the case, but I think the threats that we're faced now have made it very abundant that we can't continue on in the same way. And so I do think we're at a place now where this connectedness is leading us to bring our whole selves or our whole company to these issues. And so for somebody who leads a philanthropic arm of the company, but has the social impact of the entire company with this other space, I'm bringing, yes, our philanthropy and our profits, but then I'm also bringing our people, and I'm also bringing our capabilities. We can move, all of you have lived all over the world, we can move product in the far-reaching places of the earth. I've lived in a lot of places around this globe, and traveled with Deirdre and far-reaching places around this globe, and we could always find a Coke or a Pepsi. We could always find a bag of Lay's potato chips or what have you. How did we get it there? But we couldn't find vaccines sometimes. We couldn't find methylquin. We couldn't find some of the other things. So how do we use our capabilities as a company to show that we care? And so leveraging the full power of the business is how we also are showing that we care, because we're not just fighting these battles with charitable giving. We're fighting them with the full power of a Fortune 50 company and saying, we want to help solve some of these challenges like regenerative agriculture, or like being net water positive, or thinking about renewable energy and decarbonization. If we bring the full force of the business and then collaborate with government, with private sector, with academia, then that's really showing. So I think the caring comes from the connectivity, from the understanding of the intersectionality, and also the coalitions, these pre-competitive alliances of sort of saying, you know, and it's not in our industry in the same way, but, you know, I spent a lot of time in Africa, and you think about the average age of a farmer in Africa is about 60 years old. And the reality is that if you look at certain commodity industries, whether it's coffee or cocoa, those quote unquote farmers, and we all enjoy coffee and cocoa one way or another, those farmers are passing away. They're dying, literally. And if you are Starbucks or Nestle or Hershey's, you can compete on the shelves, but you actually need cocoa farmers and coffee farmers to survive as a business. And so you see coalitions happening in businesses to say, we care about those farmers in ways that you never saw before, because the threats are so visceral now. So I do think, I love the word care, because when you care, there's action with it. You know, this isn't sympathy and empathy. This is really caring, is you can do something. And I think that's where we're coming at. The level of the issues and the challenges, the known and unknown challenges, particularly around climate, are leading us to sort of bring our whole selves to work, but also our whole company to these issues and challenges.
Caring is empathy plus action. You heard it here. Meaghan.
Yeah, I was just going to expand on, or double click on bringing the whole company. We can't make progress. We can't be as effective as we otherwise could be without the support of our executive team and their buy-in. It is so, so important that we have their support and that they are also advocating to the board and allowing us and enabling us to invest in our goals, in our progress, in our programs, so that we can bring our whole company across the enterprise to our really ambitious goals. And I'm like 7 topics ago. There is money to be made here, and I know Mona, you're going to talk a little bit more about that. But there is money to be made in renewable electricity and renewable energy. There is money to be made in refurbished, recycled materials and packaging, and products that have a lower carbon footprint than this one or that one or this one, and that is phenomenal, and that is so important, and to be able to show that is critical. It's not just a nice to have, a nice thing that we're doing on the side. These investments have returns, and that is something that we have conversations about across the enterprise every single day.
Money to be made and livelihoods to be sustained. Yeah. And Mona, please.
I'll just amplify a little more what you're saying. You know, it's true. And I completely agree with everyone here on the panel with connectivity and love. But at the end of the day, you know, it's about knowledge and showing management or you know, decision makers that this is good and why it's good. And it's not 100% philanthropic. It's also making a difference, making an impact, making major changes that has far, you know, challenges and change.
Great. I thought we were going to have time for a question from the audience, but I don't think we're going to go. I don't think we are. So I'm going to give each of you one last round of words. Your parting words of advice to anyone who is working in the private sector here, who's saying, yeah, we need to make that change in our business. We need to add that care to the center of it, and that the empathy plus action. We need to actually turn this over from beginning to end. We need to make the argument to senior management, and we need to get them on board. We need to put these really complex partnerships in place that drive forward. What's your words of advice to those companies out there that are just getting started on this journey and haven't been able to take it as far as you all have?
Okay, I'll start first.
Yes.
Hold the mic. We're trying to be egalitarian. I think, again, it's really important to be resilient and to surround yourself with, this is kind of a secret, surround yourself with people smarter than you, and then try to convince and be resilient. And if you fail, you know, and let me tell you, I mean, it's a lot of my clients are big oil companies, and they really now, for the first time, see the you know, all the benefits of and also what they need to do about climate change. So, for me, the word is just be resilient and educate yourself, surround yourself with smart people that can overcome the objections, and that's how you make change.
Beautiful.
I'm going to echo everything that you said. For someone who's just starting out, well, come on in. The water's warm because of climate change. But like, yeah. But also, I mentioned my aha moment was that climate change is the only problem that's going to impact every single organism. It's going to impact your company, right? How? How is it going to impact your company? Find that out. Don't be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And understand the perspective of who you're talking to. Change is hard, change is messy, but if you can have a handle or an understanding of the challenges of the board, of your manager, tie that back to how climate change is going to or is impacting your business, I think you will be able to find success in those parallels. It's a really it's scary, it's fun. Everyone's really kind, and yeah, that's what I would say.
It's great. I'll go off another R word. I do a lot. My team's some here, and they know I love alliteration. But I'll give you three. So one, and it dovetails off to what you heard from around being relevant. So you have to make a case. So you have to be relevant to the needs and challenges of the communities that you're trying to serve or the issues you're trying to drive, but also relevant to the business, your organization. So being relevant and making that connection, you know, don't make them think. Really have it figured out in terms of how is this relevant? How are we bringing our skills, capabilities, business interests to this issue? Because again, the era of you know, harm, or the area of, okay, this is just good. The goodness argument is running out. And you see this in everything that we experienced in the past 3 years, where there was a heightened level of a pandemic-induced interest, and now things have now normalized, and you see retreating, because we got to make the relevancy argument. This is relevant for our needs, our challenges of the business, but also needs and challenges of the communities or the constituencies you're trying to serve. Next is deliver results. It has to be results driven. You know, this is where, whether it's a business or a nonprofit or a consulting firm or academia, everyone's looking for the results. So the relevancy is important, but drive results. And data, you know, in God we trust. Everyone else bring data. Like bring some data to the argument, and that's really data through results. And then I would just say the last thing is reputation. So this is a word that it used to be a dirty word, and it was one of these things, oh, you're just driving reputation. We're all voters. We're all voters in everything now. I mentioned 300,000 employees at PepsiCo. They have a vote in terms of what we do as a company, and they have a vote in what we don't do. And so companies and communities and constituencies and customers are putting pressure on companies like never before, and that's your reputation. So what was before, oh, we can treat our workers like this, or we can treat the community like that. There is power to the people, and the people are speaking up in different ways. And so the reputation argument that if we do more good for more people is an argument that now has resonance in companies and organizations like never before, because reputation also drives future business, but it also now is something to protect in new ways. And so relevancy, results, and then the reputation as key things that you should use if you want to jump in the water because it is warm. Those are things to bring.
Cool down the water.
Thank you. I'll be very short. And my message is for fellow entrepreneurs outside. This is our opportunity to really test and realize ourselves as an entrepreneur, because this is reinventing business modeling in the art of entrepreneurship for love. Get that passion going, get that juice going, and reinvent business modeling. Thank you.